there's a quiet war going on to exert political restrictions over what you can invest in. And everything centers around a term called ESG, Environmental Social Governance Ratings. So while that term has been weaponized as a lightning rod to represent basically anything like liberal initiatives, climate change, diversity, reproductive rights, equality, etc., what it really is corporate risk metrics, kind of like a credit rating. And our technology is advanced enough in our data that allows us investors to evaluate the more holistic risks facing a company, its business, and its profit. So like environmental, things like will a food producer face water shortages, or an insurer have a lot of customers in a wildfire zone affecting its profits, right? Social, things like employee fair pay, healthcare, safety, things that affect productivity. Or governance, managing risks of fines, shareholder rights, corruption, bribery, proper accounting, things that are pretty important. I mean, it would be cool if these metrics evaluated a company's impact on the world, but they measure the world's impact on the company's bottom line, its potential profit. So something like a water scarcity metric measures whether a region has enough water to supply a company's factory, not whether that factory is disrupting the community's local water supply or an ecosystem. You can be the biggest polluter in the world, but as long as you're doing enough to avoid fines or financial risks, you can get a high rating. Like Chevron, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, has an A rating. So these ratings are inadequate for the people worried about these risks, trying to drive change, but they're also being attacked by conservative lobbyists trying to prevent investors from considering these risks at all, particularly in their state pension funds. So your money, which goes against every free market concept and fiduciary standard, and the irrationality is as apparent as major conservative states pulling billions of investments from the biggest fossil fuel lending companies, accusing them of boycotting fossil fuel companies. And I mean, you can imagine who's funding this lobbying. So this anti-capitalist movement limiting what investors can consider with their investments is quietly forcing political values onto the market. So if you hear the term ESG being thrown around, just make sure it's not being used to impose political restrictions on your investments. Investors need to be able to consider everything, including the very real risks facing businesses operating on a planet with limited resources.